Good afternoon. It is March 16th, 2026. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by Will Alimonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are you doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? Duke did it again. ACC champions, regular season, and in the conference tournament. The tournament was a lot sweatier, a lot closer, especially that first round game for Duke against Florida State. But we're past conference tournaments. The bracket is set, or as set as it can be on Monday. We still have some playing games to take a look at. And I'm going to say, I think that the committee did a good job of getting the correct teams in. I am just not so sure about one specific region and the amount of Hall of Famers and Blue Bloods and Big East teams that they put in it, all jam-packed. So I'm sure we'll get into all that.
Did you hear who they added to the board and the committee of all this? I feel like they added E-Entertainment to everything. Like, this seems so manufactured, as if, it'd be cool if there was a bunch of rematches and we made these guys just duke it out and only one of them got to advance. And that we didn't do like the normal thing of putting them on the opposite side of the bracket and giving everyone some breathing room. It's like, no, you guys are going to be roommates a little bit longer. It's interesting to me. I ask you, Duke was the one of one, right? So you should essentially be able to pick what region you'd want to be in, and ideally you'd think your region would be the most favorable. Would you pick another region if you could switch?
I've heard a lot of complaining, mostly from the Duke side, saying, "Hey, we're the overall number one seed. You're supposed to get an easier run than the other groups." But when you start to look at what's easier versus harder, and then you really start to split it apart, I think that there. I'm not saying that there's no steak, but there's a lot of sizzle in the East. I mean, you have UConn in there, but UConn just got shellacked by St. John's. St. John's also in the mix. They didn't necessarily during the season have the most successful season. And then if I start to look down, for sure it was out without Peterson, but Duke beat Kansas, Duke beat Louisville twice, and Duke beat Michigan State. So I think if you're looking at just the teams, it's a little more favorable. The problem is once you zoom out and you go, hold on, we got to go. And obviously you also don't play all of these teams. It gets consolidated, but it's like we got Bill Self, we have Izzo, we have Hurley, Mick Cronin's in the mix. It's just like all of the main, I feel like the main coaches or like the characters are here. So I think that just, it's got a little bit of that fantasy football of, if you can just name the guys, you sometimes think the team, and that's what I think this is you think the region's better just because you know all the players, and meaning players, the characters.
It does seem like the headline's written already. It's Duke versus, well, we could have this headline, this name, that name with these teams, and it's already written. You could see any of it happening. It's all possible and it's all potential. So I think that's what's scary about it for Duke, is that I don't know who's going to end up surviving. Like you said, you're not going to face all of these teams, but you might have a scenario where you're either facing like a menacing St. John's team, or a Darren Peterson that's trying to prove something for the whole world, or a Mick Cronin like surviving a Hurley matchup. Like that's going to have to happen, and then one of them's going to have to face potentially Izzo, and then one of them's going to face you guys. Like it's as much as it goes against you, it goes against all of them as well. So like as a Michigan State fan, I think we're fairly seeded. I thought we were going to do maybe slightly better than all of this. It's funny to me how much these conference tournament games matter and then don't matter. I predicted Purdue was going to win. It seemed to have benefited them very much, seeing how they are a 2 seed right now. Who won the Big East tournament? You watched,
St.
right?
John.
Oh, and what seed are they? They're in the East as well. They're
5.
They're a 5. If they didn't win the Big East tournament, what were they going to be? Because I'm looking at more of that sort of math, all right? There's obviously a bunch of teams that are better than them. They didn't have the best season of it all, but they did just whoop UConn, who apparently that loss was, I was talking about them as potentially the last 1 seed here, and now they've dropped all the way down to a 2, and not a 2 in any region, a 2 in your region, the 1 of 1 region. So I'd like to say that's the worst of the 2s, or is that the best of the 2s? I don't. It seems like an interesting scenario here where I'm just trying to do some math a little bit. Does all that make sense to you?
I think that it does. I think you have to look at the full body of work, and I think that you go into the conference tournaments and There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of basketball on TV, and I think sometimes you want it to weigh more. Or you think it's going to weigh more just because it's the most recent and it's tournament, like it's a little tournament for the really big tournament. So I think that say UConn had again beat St. John's, they just beat them real bad a couple of weeks ago. I don't think that you move multiple seeds. It's maybe St. John's is a six, but they're probably just a lesser fifth seed.
All right, let's break down the bracket a little bit more. Let's other than some sort of seating discussions here. Do you like the potential of all these rematches? Like, do you want to see Michigan State, UCLA one more time? Do you want to see Connecticut, St. John's one more time? Do you want to see any of those Duke matchups you've already seen one more time?
I I think that this is just what's going to happen. I mean, these are grouped by region, so it's like how many times have Duke and Michigan State been in the same region? It's just that's if you're good teams, you're in the tournament over and over again. I think it's just a matter of how far back does does it go. I mean, if you're looking way far ahead, I mean, you could look at in the South. Florida and Houston, you get a rematch of the championship game. If it continues, I mean, you could get a rematch of the Houston Duke Final Four, and this is just from last year. So I not going to shy away from any sort of rematch or like you said, Michigan State UCLA again. I'm all for a little bit of history, and I think just in college, it's just more likely to happen. You have your blue bloods, you have your teams that are just in the tournament over and over again, and there's only a finite number of teams.
All right, we're going to break everything down by region. We're going to start with the East region. And I thought rather than just doing every single matchup here, we would limit ourselves to say which conference we thought would advance in each region. So, for example, in the East region, I could say I think the Big Ten teams have the best chance of advancing. That would be Michigan State, Ohio State, UCLA. And you might say, what was your team?
For the East, I went with I think the ACC is going to come out of it.
So that would be Duke and Louisville, or mostly Duke.
It's pretty heavily favored on the Duke side of that.
But do you think I got a better shot with more teams though? Like, would you just want to have more cracks at it? Like, none of this is set in stone. Injuries happen. Like, I think it's just an advantage having the extra team right now.
Eh, Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, but I'm gonna stick with it. I have a different conference for each region.
All right, for this one, I went with the Big Ten, mostly because I do like the Michigan State team. We have recently lost to UCLA, who's we could lose one more time to, and whether that makes us good or whatever, it makes them certainly competitive as well. Ohio State, who you may face in the next round, is one of the hotter teams right now. So I don't feel super foolish for
They really stuck around with Michigan. I did not expect that.
I don't feel very foolish for picking this, even though you have the clear advantage with the Duke number one, and I think it is theirs to lose. But this is going to be entertaining as a fan point. Like, this is going to be such a fun matchup. All these potential coaches you mentioned are going to go against each other, and some crazy stuff is going to happen. And I just hope they're good games, and I hope guys are able to stay healthy. Is there any sort of injury reports we need to keep an eye on? Or actually, let's do your conference first. Is there anything you want to say about your conference? You're picking ACC and Duke.
Yeah, picking ACC and Duke. The injuries for the East, I have two of them. I didn't bother putting in guys that were just out. So as we get like further in, UNC Caleb Wilson, got hurt, and that's like a known thing. These are more just questionable. Kind of keep an eye on it. You could take advantage of it, but it might be a little bit of a roll of the dice. I don't really have too many of these, but for the East, it's Caleb Foster at Duke. Sure, looking like he's not going to play. I think it like best case would be if Duke made it to Indy. That's when it would happen. But foot fracture just last week. That's gonna be really tough to come back from. More likely to come back, but still a little bit of a mystery. Mikel Brown Jr. from Louisville. It's not exactly sure if he's going to play or not. He is the best player on Louisville, and he is for sure the engine. He's the one that puts up the points. So him being in or out, I think, really can shake up their tournament.
I think it shakes things up big time because I have upset alerts as the next topic here, and I think South Florida has a good chance against Louisville. Now, if he's going to play and if he's going to be the high draft pick that he'll ultimately end up being, UCF isn't just going to be the bigger bad team. They're going to have an issue with the scoring of all that. But that's a huge if, and I imagine if he's coming back, he's good to go. Or do you think this is sort of a rush back situation? Like, do you think we're only getting maybe an 80% Mikhail
I
Brown.
with college, you really don't hear as much day to day as you do and you're required to in the NBA. So I don't know. Just I'm not as close on you on this team, but would he rush back a little bit sooner because, hey, this is like your last chance, then you're going to the NBA, or is he looking at it as, hey, I don't want to get hurt because I'm about to go to the NBA. So I really don't know which way it's going to go on this. But yes, I agree with you. South Florida is also my upset pick for the East. They are plus 176. So this is the most likely one to happen of the group, but it very much is a swing on that Mikal Brown Jr. will not be coming back, or if he does come back, it will not be the prime guy that we saw earlier in the year.
We don't have enough time to really notice on this. It's locked into the draft. So now, if he's back and he's good, like he has been, how far would you go? And then if he's only back for a little bit, or maybe he gets hurt again, or doesn't come back till the next round, and they lose this round, that's hard to lock into your bracket right now. All right, next upset alert. That was kind of the obvious one here. I think the only other long shot here is Furman is a better team than you would think, but like, I think UConn's a really good 2 seed. Like UConn a week ago, we was arguing could be the last 4 seed. So I'm sorry, Furman. You may be a better team, and you might be able to challenge some other 2 seeds, but I don't think UConn's the one. Which team is going to challenge UConn? Who's going to do the deed? We both got chances. Is it even going to get to you? Are you nervous about taking UConn out?
I am nervous about that game of thinking last year. It's like, oh, having a meltdown in the Final Four to Houston and being there in person. That's the worst thing that can happen. But then all of a sudden, it's like, what if there is an Elite Eight matchup and it's Duke versus UConn, 1 versus 2? Probably the most likely thing to happen, in a bracket, and then to have to melt down against UConn, like even not in person, like that might be worse. I don't want to go too far down this road here, but that was one of the things that I did like about having Michigan State, in the bottom section. It's we were just talking about it of, oh no, group of death and all this, but Duke won't have to play Michigan State and UConn. It'll be possibly one of the two. So ideally, you're going to get the first crack at it, and you could just take care of the big bad wolf.
I mean, UCLA might just do it for us as well. They're hot. Like I don't know what we can't figure out about them, because I didn't think they were that good of a team early on, and they put together some wins, and they really made Michigan State suffer a couple times. Those are some really brutal losses that I'm not saying we had marked as wins, but just the way we lost was rough. And to see them one more time, I hope it's just not like a boogeyman thing. But I like the chances of all those teams, and I even have it written down here as a Michigan State fan, the preferred matchups of, I'm not so worried about UConn or UCLA. I could do that one more time. I don't think Michigan State matches up well with Duke at all. I just you got too much skill set over there, and I'm not saying the other teams aren't skill set, but there's like a toughness and an effort level that Michigan State can kind of hang around with, that they're just going to fall short with the skill set. And you guys are got to. Booster's just talented. He's going to find ways to score, and I don't think we have the guys that can do that.
I think it would also be Fears is the engine for your team. He's the one that, if you don't have Fears on your team, it's like the scoring just gets even harder. And I just think that even with Foster being out, I think Duke just has guys that can contain point guards.
Do you think you're better without him, or do you think he's being missed
No,
already?
nope, he's being missed already. I think this will help in the future for Caden. I think it really forces him to step up and learn in a hurry. But I mean, Foster, he's just been around for a while. He's gone through the growing pains that I'm seeing Caden go through. But it, it's next man up, because I really don't think, I think Gongba, I think he's going to be back based just on some inside knowledge. But how about some? Would you like some location breakdowns here?
I would, but I'm in on the brother. I think your higher ceiling is with Caden playing. I think once you get through this stuff, and I think you're going to see it in this tournament, his decision making and his ability to kind of fit in any lineup and really mesh with everything is going to be essential. I think the diversity of the teams you're going to face, and potential diversity of teams you might face. I,
I
I
I have some concern there. This is 3 games ago, which in the ACC tournament, it's half a week. It's not a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, like it normally is during the regular season, where Florida State came in and said, "Caden, you shoot as many 3-pointers as you want. and gave him the mind trickery of we're just putting the guy guarding you into the paint. I think that he's a good enough shooter that he can get over that physically, but I think the mental makeup of that of you are now the starter of this team that is expected to do great things, and it's just gonna be a matter of making sure it happens. Like Shire working with him and saying, if they're gonna get off of you, this is what you're gonna do. And whether it's going to be shoot or it's going to say, hey, they're gonna give you a runway to the hoop, like whatever the plan is, there needs to be a plan because I think another team is going to employ that.
I think he's good. I think he's gonna have a good tournament. I think we'll change our opinion on him. I think he may even learn his first name. He may even become not the brother. We may learn his first name. Would that be nice?
It's got to be rough for him, that's for sure.
It really has to be. All right, locations. What do we need to know?
Okay, so location stuff. I don't really have this for everything, just only if it was interesting and I thought people when they fill out the bracket there might be interested in it. So, if you wanted to pick against Duke, here's one reason that you might be interested in it. Duke plays in Greensville, South Carolina. Obviously, South Carolina, North Carolina, not too far away. Definitely going to be a lot of Duke fans there. But the pairing of the other matchup that's going to be going on is the UNC matchup. So we've seen this in the past. I believe it was actually the Tatum year, lost in the second round in Greensville. It's been a tricky spot. Something because the UNC fans are also there. And let's say Ohio State wins. Ohio State, they got a large contingent. So it goes from it's pretty neutral or kind of even to this place is going to be filled with teams and fans that want Duke to lose. So something to keep in mind there. The other one,
Where would that not be true?
I would say this would be the worst.
Oh, so it's just that bad. Okay, I was like, because you're going to be
It's
dealing with that
worse.
wherever you go. Nobody's going to be like, oh, thank God Duke's playing. Everybody get on the bandwagon here.
But I think it has to do with like the size of the school.
I
Like
see that. I
say
see the budget.
say like St. Mary's is the higher seed and they're going against an auto bid. It's like St. Mary's. It has nothing to do with their basketball program or anything. It's just they're a smaller school. So if they're playing somewhere in the Midwest, they're just not going to have the same foot traffic. But no, I agree with you on just the no one is going to be rooting for Duke if you're anywhere close to neutral. It's going to be the Duke fans and everybody else. But I think this is just the towards the tippy top of if this game is close at all, it turns into a away game in a hurry.
They're also the one of one. Nobody wants the one of one.
Nope, totally agree with you. That comes with it, as well as their Duke. The next one for this region, this is in the lower section, is UCLA. Mick Cronin. They have to play in Philly. Mick has not really shied away from complaining. This has more to do with the Big Ten schedule and them joining as a California team where all of your trips are east. Like that's just how it works. But multiple times this year and in past years has complained about having to travel. I don't know if it's since it's the tournament if this changes, but if you wanted to root for UCF and talk yourself into it, this could be a reason of a West Coast team having to travel all the way to Philly.
I mean, what did they think when they were joining the Big Ten? Like this wasn't. You're going
I
wherever you need to go. Nobody gets to, it's not comfortable for everyone. We only got so many locations here.
I agree with you. Just something to keep an eye on.
Any other locations?
That's it for the East.
All right. Anything else for the East here?
I think that's good for the East.
Let's move on to the South region, where we've got a lot of SEC teams. We put Florida, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, somehow all in the same region here. Who won the SEC tournament again?
It wasn't Florida. I was wrong. I was wrong on a majority of my picks.
It was Vanderbilt, right?
Vanderbilt destroyed Florida.
And they're a 5 seed. Like this is the St. John's thing again of like, well, they just won, and I imagine that boosted them somewhat. So what were they if they were going to lose?
Arkansas won.
Oh no, Arkansas
Vanderbilt
won.
beat Florida, but Arkansas won.
Oh, right, that's what I mean. Vanderbilt beat Florida. It was still like a big thing. Sorry,
It kind of felt like it. Yeah. It wasn't a championship, but Florida was far and away the favorite.
Well, the other thing that I felt like it happened was, and then UConn ended up getting smoked anyway. So like that really sabotaged all this. I was like, oh, there goes Florida's 1 seed. Like when that happened, like was I the only one who crossed that off, or was I just so eager to cross this team off so early? Like how did they? This was a survival thing where they were just the last team surviving to get the one, and like everybody sabotaged it last week, and it just didn't matter. They had enough of a lead to I think ultimately be this one seed. Well, I mean, would you have given it to someone else?
No, no, I was fine with the lineup.
Would you have upped Vanderbilt a little bit, or you're fine with them as a 5?
I'm fine with them as a 5. Beating Florida, that was good. They started the year amazingly, but then they definitely had some rough patches. So yeah, I think 5 is the perfect kind of spot of if they come out and play like they did against Florida, or they play like they did at the beginning of the year when they went on that crazy win streak. You look at it and go, oh, yep, 5 makes total sense. But they come in and they play like when they were in that rough patch, and all of a sudden you're looking at that 12-5 upset special.
All right, some other interesting seating positions about all of this. A crazy Pennsylvania victory in the Ivy League championship. A insane game against Yale, of which I had Yale as a lock to advance to the second round, and I'm not crossing off Pennsylvania yet. I really like Illinois, but boy, what'd you think of that game? You have a former Duke player going off for a 40 plus in an overtime conference championship game, which win to advance, win and you're in. What was that? That was an insane showing.
TJ Power, he is my mid-major guy to keep an eye on. Like you said, Penn upset Yale. Yale really messed things up down the stretch, and TJ not only scored all of those points, which in a college game is a ton of points, and in an Ivy League college game even more in a championship. Already cracked 40, I think, before overtime even started, so didn't really pass stats. But he hit 2 threes under a minute to win that game. So very impressive. And yes, he started at Duke. He was a 5-star. Didn't really quite work out. Transferred to Virginia, where it also didn't quite work out. I think I heard the stat. I don't think this was at Duke. I think it was at Virginia. I think for his career at Virginia, he scored, I think, 38 points total. And now at Penn in one game, he scores 40 plus. So just, it's awesome. These guys are on your team. Sometimes they transfer and you kind of, you lose sight of them, especially a guy that goes to the Ivy League and you're not sure. Like, if they hadn't won, yeah, just kind of assume like, hey, must be, maybe he's a doctor, or I don't know, maybe he's playing overseas, but nope. To see him continue, just very cool. They're not going to be my upset special, but just cool story. Yeah, that's my mid major player to look out for.
Anybody that can score and go on heat checks and do that, like that's what we want to see in March. The unfortunate part is that they're just matched up against Illinois, who's on Ken Palm one of the best offenses in the league right now, and them having a scorer certainly keeps them in a game, but I don't think this is the matchup for them to be like, well, I mean, if they face a team that just couldn't score, I would love to see it happen. Wouldn't you? Like, I think they'd have a chance. But a sophisticated
Yeah,
offense, it's just not the same. It's not the same advantage here. So tough one for them, but amazing that they're in. I don't know if I would have picked Yale over Illinois either. Is really how I'm doing this. But do you think Yale would have been a higher seed? Because I think they were a better team for majority of the year.
maybe one spot, maybe 13. I don't think quite 12. I think they've been a 12 in the past, but I could be getting colored by that of, well, they couldn't even win the Ivy League, so how am I going to move them up to higher seed?
All right, which conference would you pick in this region, in the South region, to advance?
You mentioned it right off the jump. I'm going with the SEC. A lot of opportunities here. I think it'll be Florida, but I have multiple backup options just in case.
They're in it. The Vandy I think is better than where they're seated, and McNeese is another one back to back years where I think it's a good story, but I don't think Vandy's the right matchup for them to really do this. I think I might have made fun of them at some points of this SEC season, but there's multiple times in the SEC season where they look like the best team in the SEC. So I don't know if that's a great matchup for McNeese there. I went with the Big 12. I think this is Houston's to lose. I'm not so in on Florida. I've already said that before, but the idea that they're going to play St. Mary's, which is like a diet Houston version, I think is a good matchup for Houston. And then to face potentially Illinois if they even make it there, I think is another better matchup for Houston again. I'm not sure how far down the line it goes after that of, who they'll ultimately end up facing, but I just think this is a good setup for them that they're a really, really aggressive 2 seed that looked like they could have won that Arizona game at some points. I'm in on this team. That's who I would go with. How do you feel about Houston?
I do. I still like Houston. They just, I think so. It's just like I don't think they're as good as they were last year. So it doesn't mean they still can't go on a run, still can't make the Final Four. But now you're gonna have to see Florida in the Elite Eight rather than in the championship. And I just think there's more likely that they will get tripped up. But a location breakdown for you: the regional for the South is in Houston. So if they can win their first two games, they get to the Sweet 16. They're gonna have home games. So might help out a little bit there.
I think they're a good team. I think they lost some tough games. That would certainly make it safe to pick them. But because they didn't, they're a 2 seed, and I think they're just dangerous. That's what you want to have a team in March. You want to have a dangerous team. This is not a team anyone's excited to play. I like the Big 12 for them, and they're the only one in this as well. So going them versus the field here, it's not the most strategic picks. All right, upset alerts. You
My upset for the South, it's going to be Troy. I'm picking Troy plus 760. And this is not a very sophisticated take here. This is Nebraska has never won a conference, or excuse me, conference, has never won a tournament game, not once. And so I'm just thinking, well, maybe there's something like working against them. Maybe there's some sort of magic that just says, hey, Nebraska, they made some sort of deal, back in the day, I think it was like the 70s or 80s when they're really good at football, and said, hey, they made their deal and they're just never going to win a tournament game. So they've never done it before. I've never seen it. No one else has seen it. So I'm going to go with Troy.
So there has to be some upsets. So I agree this is definitely a potential one. Troy's a deserving candidate. I just think Nebraska had a really good season. Again, this is another team that Michigan State had some problems with. A lot of teams had problems with. So I don't think they're bad. And they managed to be a 4 seed. I talk about all these other teams that are 5 seeds. Nebraska's 4. So I think they're going to deserve some respect here. My upset alert is VCU UNC, which I know you're going to have some enormous bias in saying all this, but it doesn't look like the UNC injury report is going to change anything. And they've been solid even without him, right? They competed in a game. I don't need to name names, but there was also games they got blown out in. I think VCU is again another good candidate of a team that's strong enough to potentially advance, maybe even more to another round. How much trouble is UNC in?
Well, I like all the stuff that you said. I feel like if I came in, it wasn't going to sound so. It wasn't going to sound so serious, or you couldn't trust me. But yeah, I think I'll be picking VCU in a lot of my leagues. It's technically an upset, but VCU is only a 2.5 point underdog. So I would say UNC has quite the battle on their hands. I would say they have played a lot of this season without Caleb Wilson. So I think that does help. Obviously, you want your potential top 5 NBA pick to play, but if he's not, at least this isn't going to be the first time that they've had to do this.
All right, over under 100 points, Clemson, Iowa. 2 very slow-paced teams.
They'll go over 100. That's crazy.
I didn't see what the actual numbers are. When I saw the matchup, that was the first thing that came to my mind. It was like, I don't know if anyone's going to score in this game. I do think Iowa certainly has some size that I would like to see in the next round against Florida if they were to advance. But I don't think it's going to be a safe matchup against Clemson. I think that's kind of a toss-up. All right, anything else for this region?
That's it for the South.
All right, let's move on to the West. What do we got in the West here? Arizona up top here. Which conference?
What a basketball game. That championship. Back and forth at the very end, and then it ends just elite shot making between Arizona and Iowa State.
Other seeding sort of situations here. They'll be placing fins up, by the way. That'll be short-lived.
Oh, look out for that.
Utah State, 9 seed here. Any beef with them? They seem to think they should have been higher, seeing how they're the only one in their conference in.
No, absolutely not. See, this one really gets me, and we'll get to it a little more later on with like Miami, Ohio's coach complaining, or Bruce Pearl, arguing on behalf of his son. That's what's so awesome about basketball is everybody has a chance. All you have to do, except for I guess the teams that just moved up from D2 for some reason aren't allowed or don't qualify, still doesn't make any sense. Of all you have to do, you can lose every single game, then just win your tournament, and then you get an automatic bid. All you have to do is win, and then you don't have to worry about the rest of this. So I don't know why they'd be complaining. we've seen this time after time. Like we've had more Mountain West teams in, and that's kind of the joke of how fast are all the Mountain West teams going to be eliminated.
I don't have an issue with it. It's a tough argument. Somebody's got to go somewhere. It's not easy. And when you don't have anyone else to like, where do you fit in? Like you also have less of comparables. Like I saw Patino already talking about how he's trying to pump up the Big East already because he's like we need our wins, our conference to be good, so my wins matter. I want to schedule games against these guys, or I guess you can't avoid scheduling these sort of games. Is even more of the argument, but it's going to be better for everyone if you do those sort of things. And like you said, Miami, Ohio, they just didn't, and I think Utah State. There's a similar argument to all that, but what are you supposed to do? This is how you end up with UCLA on the other side of the coast here, where it's some of this is geographical, I imagine, to some states. The names of these conferences used to make sense. Arkansas is a 4 seed after winning the SEC. That was a correction from earlier. Would you have them higher?
No,
You think they're a scary 4 seed?
I think that they're hot right now. I think Acuff is getting a lot of attention. I think it helps when you got a Cal freshman point guard. He's had a lot of elite point guards, so the NBA guys are even taking notice of this. And to score 90 plus points in a 3-game, 3-day span is amazing. So I think his stock is on the way up. If he can make a little bit more noise in the tournament, I mean, I think it could legitimately help his draft stock.
It's fun to see scores as well. I'd like to see more games of that. I'm not sure if they have quite the team to do it, but if they're in a close game and he's cooking, I'm going to be watching. That's going to be must see TV. Which conference did you pick to advance in the West region?
For the West, I went with the Big 12.
You get Arizona and BYU. Arizona's been dominant all year. A pretty solid resume with a bunch of good wins. BYU with the Bansa. I'm very worried about BYU. They don't know who they're playing yet. It could be Texas, could be NC State. I'm worried about BYU. Are you worried
What's
about
the
them?
concern?
I don't think they're going to get out of the first round. I don't think the team's very good. I think we're so attached to the one name and the one player that the team's actually not that good. And every other team is excited to play this team. I don't feel the same way about Kansas. Kansas won some games, won a lot of games without Peterson, but I don't think this team without Debance is very good. I don't think this team with Debance is that great. I think they're vulnerable. They're a 6 seed. They shouldn't be that dominant of a
Yep.
team, but
Yeah.
I think we know the name, and you feel like, oh, well, they got this guy who could potentially go top 3, top 1. I think he's top. I think he's first right now in Tankathon. I don't see it. I don't like this team. What do you like about this team? Am I missing something?
I think that they get to play either Texas or NC State. I think that helps.
I don't know. Maybe they'll get some momentum going here.
Maybe I think just some of it. They're 6 seeds, so there's not like a ton of expectations, but definitely expect to win the first game, especially with an NBA lottery pick. And like you said, not just the lottery pick, like the top.
Well, I plan to back up. I think you're mostly picking Arizona anyways with the Big 12 conference here. And then BYU with
Yep.
Debance is like just fun to watch. But I think the dangerous team here, you would think I'm going to pick Purdue. You would think I was going to do Purdue, but I'm not. I think Purdue looks so beat up from winning the Big Ten. Where I said this earlier in the podcast last week. Like it's a trap. Look how much more bruises these guys have just surviving all of that. And an incredible victory. And I predicted correctly that they would win, but I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think the WCC,
Whoa.
the West
Okay.
Coast,
Last year.
the West Coast Conference is back, and this is a team that has not lost in the first round. And looking at how I already don't feel great about BYU and whether they do win or don't win, it's a good lineup for Gonzaga. And then Purdue seems like they should beat the matchup if they were able to make it there. But I got a feeling those injuries are adding up. Those guys, I mean, was it Huff, the shoulder, Purdue? I feel like it was broken by the end of the game. He was still out there playing and still being effective, but I wonder with a couple more rounds of all this, is he actually going to make it? And is Purdue going to be able to survive? So I switched it up. I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I just feel like they're a tournament team. This is the only time we really get to see them. And every year it's like, oh, there they are again. I'm going with them. Am I crazy? They're
With
the only
Gonzaga?
team. Yeah,
Gonzaga go the whole way. That's gonna be easy to remember. Gonzaga goes on a run. You're gonna get all the credit.
for sure. But it's also a little bit more of a counter of you picked Arizona. What am I supposed to do?
You should have picked the Big Ten. You could have Purdue and Wisconsin.
I'm a little worried about Arkansas and not being a good matchup for Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin's a solid team too. I could see them advancing, but it's hard to imagine any of those teams actually beating Arizona. I could see Gonzaga actually somehow besting Arizona, but that's tough to. That's so far down the road. Like I shouldn't be worried. We should be worried about the first round matchups. Get those right. Upset alert in this region. What do we got?
Upset alert. I am going to go with High Point. It's going to be a fancy one. You probably hear I won't be the first one that mentions this, but High Point at 4-1. They're playing Wisconsin. You need as a lower seed, especially 4-1. You might need a little bit of a gimmick, and High Point might just have that gimmick. They have Chase Johnston, who is the possibly the next Golke. I think he's taken 2 2-point shots. He just goes in there and he shoots threes. And he'd have to get hot and have to go crazy, but you need a little magic. And they might just get that magic, and Wisconsin just seems like a team that could get caught a little bit flat-footed, and I don't think they're really known for putting up a ton of points. So if a guy can get hot from three and you start panicking a little bit and you start trying to rush the offense, all of a sudden you're in trouble. The other team's fans are starting to get excited, thinking, "Oh, we don't have to play Wisconsin. We only have to play High Point." And so the team also has Cameron Fletcher, who started his career at Kentucky. So you're thinking High Point, they probably got nobody that's actually been on the big stage. Well, they do. So look out.
I like it. I like High Point. It's part of the reason I didn't go with the Big Ten. I already mentioned my upset. I'll take the field against BYU in the first round here. I'll take Texas or NC State over BYU. That's my upset alert.
Sight unseen. I love it. And so for my location here, down down towards the bottom, so 10 seed, but Missouri is playing in St. Louis, Missouri. So a little bit of a home game for them. Would have to beat Miami, and then going up against Purdue. I don't think the home cooking is going to be quite that tasty, but something to be aware of with the location.
All right, anything else
So
in
that's
the West
all.
region?
That's all my location information. That is it for the for the West.
On to the Midwest with Michigan as the 1 seed. The big defensive shot making team, Michigan. Boy, do they have a tournament run.
Did did they not?
Oh. Oh, no, no. Did they win?
They
No.
did not win,
Oh,
but but they lost the championship. It wasn't like they
no,
lost the
yeah,
first
yeah.
round or something.
I was more of just knocking them. It's just a chance to say they were looking pretty undefeated for a while there. All right, it's nice to see them get knocked down a couple times. I still think this is going to be a really really tough out of. They're just a good team. They're big. They're defensive. And they can make shots. It's not a matchup I'd want to face. Seating wise here, I think we get some fun offense on offense. The Texas Tech one's a little interesting, where they're a 5 seed, and we know 12-5 is like always one of the more vulnerable day ones and could potentially upset. But no real beef with anything here. I mean, St. Louis, Georgia. I'd like to see St. Louis advance. I just want to see more Ravia. He's kind of like my.
Do you?
You don't like it? I think I like the way he plays.
I I I hear you, and I feel like if his team had won their conference tournament a couple of years ago when he had the chance, like that was the time for this. And now it just seems like it's like they're trying to like shove down my throat this like March Madness legend, this underdog story for a guy like that. Like it hasn't happened yet. So if it happens, then I can kind of get on board. But right now, it's just you're throwing a guy just in front of me. So I feel like I'm being a little bit of a contrarian and just going like, I don't know.
You didn't like the end of that game? It was like back-to-back 3-pointers, and he matched one of them at the top of the key. You don't like that? You're not in that? I think everyone gets into the hook shot and his appearance and the fun nicknames, but that he hit a huge three. They lost the game at a buzzer beater, but like that's I don't know. Maybe I just like madness. You're anti-fun apparently. Who am I talking to? It's March. This is a fun March guy.
I want to see him. I want to see him do something.
I don't think we're going to see him do too much. The Georgia matchup's tough, and seating wise, that's the only one I was a little rough with. Which division did you go with to advance, or which conference did you pick to advance to this region?
For the Midwest, I went with the Big Ten. Michigan, right up at the top.
Kind of a no-brainer. I can't talk myself into anything else either. I went with the Big Ten as well. I think they have the best chance to advance. Texas Tech,
I think the only other one would be Big 12.
Tech and Iowa State, certainly contenders. I don't know if they're title contenders. They're teams I wouldn't want to face, but I don't know if I can trust them to go that far and advance that long. I'm in on Tech, but it's not the easiest matchup here against Akron. I think that they're certainly under upset alert, but I think there's a more obvious upset alert here. I'm curious to see if you had it as well. I don't want to rag on Kentucky every single podcast, but Santa Clara is a terrible matchup for them. I'm not saying this is a lock for a win here, but if both these teams play the way they've played all year, Kentucky's in trouble. How much trouble do you think they're in?
Well, I think just the start off that Kentucky at the 7 seed, that's a problem right there. This is Kentucky. You can't be coming in as the 7 seed. I know it's a down year, but you can't be doing that. You got a newer kind of coach. This is not what they expected coming into the year. Now we've talked about it before. They do have had a bunch of injuries. There is a chance that Jaden Quainance is going to be coming back. I feel like there's been talk about that for a while now, so I wouldn't be jumping in on that like with both feet. But yes, you can get Santa Clara at plus 134 against Kentucky.
That's not that much plus money. Like it's just barely
It
favorable.
but it's a 7-10. That's it's an upset. There was nothing in the rules that said you had to pick huge long odds upsets. Do you think the time has anything to do with these games? The time and the date.
No. What do you mean?
I I there's a little crazy, but I do think that if
Yes.
there are more upsets like on Thursday, that there's less on Friday because the teams see it and they lock in a little bit more. And so I don't have the math on this. It's purely anecdotal, purely just on feel. I know as a fan, I have dates and times I like more than the other. And just, I don't know, the Kentucky one just jumps out at me as it's going to be Friday. It's the first game. So everybody's going to be watching that. And at least for the first half or so, is going to be watching that solo. So if Kentucky comes out looking good, there's going to be a lot of good things said about it. And if Kentucky comes out and has one of these, we're just not playing any defense today, I think that the Pope hot seat might just get a little hotter. Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And them playing Friday during the day, most people have to work, and so the people that are actually movers and shakers, they're still working, so they're not going to be watching this closely.
I think if they lose, we're going to walk away and say all this is wrong with Kentucky, but it ultimately is. I think it's a bad matchup. I think the Santa Clara team's just a good team, or at least is a better team than what Kentucky is right now. I mean, look. There's always a 7 seed that advances at least a couple rounds. Your other options are you would think it'd be Kentucky out of the names I'm about to say. Right? We got St. Mary's in the South here. The other 7's UCLA in the East, and then it's Florida. Or no, it's Miami in the West. I think all those teams are better than Kentucky too. Like I don't even think they're the best 7 seed. Like, do you think they are?
I'm checking. They could be better than Miami. Miami's kind of up and coming. They're ahead of schedule with a new coach this year.
Well, what I'm saying is it just wouldn't be an alarming loss right now. I don't want this to be like, oh, it's a disappointing season, but it's not going to be just this one thing. Like, this isn't a favorable situation. This is close to a toss-up of a game as you're going to get in a 7-10 matchup.
You see, yes, I would agree with that. That they're a 3.5 point favorite. It's not exactly a coin flip, but if you were to lose this game close, it's not what Kentucky fans want, but it's because of the body of work that led up to this. This isn't a 12-5 where you're a 15-point favorite and you're going in just thinking, oh, this is gonna be smooth sailing. Like they're gonna have to they're gonna have to come in ready to play.
It's just been an inconsistent Kentucky team. There's no other way to say it. Any other sort of upset alerts for here? Because I think there's a couple of sneaky ones. I mentioned Akron. Do you like them or do you like Hofstra a little bit more?
I'm going Hofstra. All the other ones, I felt like I had something that I was just kind of naturally attracted to. This one was kind of forced, but the reason that I picked it is because Alabama's second leading scorer got arrested this morning for a marijuana possession. And you kind of laugh that off a little bit with the amount of dispensaries that are around, especially in the Northeast. But I'm pretty positive that it's not legal in Alabama, as well as it was a pound. So it was not a personal use, it was whatever the reverse of that is of like, oh, is he selling this? Like that's what the Alabama judicial system thinks. So he had to get bailed out today. Obviously, a lot of questions about do you get to play if you're in trouble, or does this, as we're just kind of like, all right, you didn't hurt anybody. This isn't domestic violence. No, the real bad stuff. It's all right. You probably shouldn't have this much weed, but we'll take care of this, in the summertime. But if he doesn't play, this is where I figure you take a swing. I still think even without him, Alabama should be able to handle Hofstra. But
I don't. I think even with him, this is Hofstra's game. Hofstra's got great guard play.
Hofstra
Hofstra's good.
from Long Island.
They have two excellent guards. It's going to be a good matchup here. They're not going to face a team that's going to want to be defensive the whole time. They're going to face a team that's going to want to run and gun. Hofstra's got a sophisticated offense. I think you're going to see good guard play that's just going to be in a scoring game that's not going to be as vulnerable. There's certain matchups I think Hofstra will be uncomfortable in. I don't think Alabama's the one that's going to make them uncomfortable. You throw that wrinkle in of what just happened recently, this isn't the most consistent Alabama team. There you can certainly be lethal. And boy, if you want to talk about heat check potential of all the teams in the league, this is one of them where if they're on, I don't think there's a team in the league that can compete when they're on. They're just going to put up more points than anyone's going to be able to compete with. But when they're off, or if they have a little shakiness, or if they face an offense that's kind of keeping up with them, I think their superpowers kind of disappear a little bit. So I think it's a little bit more vulnerable of an Alabama team, and kind of a solid Hofstra. Well, I should be giving this away. You're getting gold out of all this.
Gold, absolutely. I think that Hofstra on their best day, it's just Alabama is just a turbocharged machine, and they're just gonna zoom right past them.
That's fine. They won't go that much farther. I mean, the other thing is, it's not like I think Hofstra is going to be going that much farther as well. So it's a safe bet. I don't have them going too far after, but I think there's some fun March Madness stories built into that Hofstra team. Which, when you talk about the Alabama stories, it's like, well, which one do you want here?
That would definitely it would be an interesting, and we've definitely seen it before. An Akron 12-5 upset of Texas Tech, and then a Hofstra upset of Alabama, of going in thinking there's no way this happens, and then it happens both times.
All right, locations, Midwest.
Nothing, no takeaways. No one's really playing, close to home or far away from home or anything. Nothing location based that I thought was really pertinent.
All right, anything else for the March Madness bracket before we move on?
Yes. So I have two things. One, something to know. It's only the first four, but they did let Miami in. I didn't think that they should be in. I think it's got to be one of the worst at-large teams that's ever been put into March Madness. But they are in the first four, which is played in Dayton, Ohio. So that is going to be pretty close to a home game for Miami. But you said you wanted to come up with a bet for the first four, and so I will be going with the ACC. I will be going with SMU -6.5 to beat Miami, and this one's not even going to be close.
I had the same thing for all the same arguments. It's not good content that I don't have another one to produce for you, but it wasn't fun to pick a bet out of these first four games. I don't know anything about any of them. When I look at Miami and the reason that they're in, it's hard to argue. What are the other teams also done here? Like, I know that they're not that great. Are these other teams also not that great? Yeah, probably. So I like the only argument you made was the only thing I could find interesting about the first four here. Is there anything else you consider? Do you have another bet?
No other bet, but something just to mention. This might just be for the two of us. Big Cat has definitely mentioned more and more on the jokey side that once the bracket is released, there should be a game immediately. Now, obviously, the logistics of that are absolutely crazy, all of that. But more for us, the NBA should have a premiere game that starts at 7:00, like right after, like bracket comes out, and then everyone wants to fill out their bracket. But then they also, or at least me, like I want to watch basketball. And there was some pretty good games yesterday and last night. And then I checked for today, and I think it was a couple weeks ago I did the test of, hey, what would you rather watch tonight? And named the college lineup and named the NBA lineup, where there's no college basketball today. First round start, tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we really get into it obviously on Thursday. But today the NBA does have a pretty good lineup, but it seems like it'd be a big mistake of the NBA where they hide from the NFL all year of you have a wide open Monday. There's No college basketball. You're not competing. There's no football. Like this can be your day. I guess hockey, but I don't think like those demographics are really overlapping. So I'm glad that there are national televised games today, and it wasn't a like, what are you guys doing? You're just missing out on a prime basketball day.
It's a fair ramp. Let's remind everyone to join our March Madness bracket, Zach.
Yes. Yahoo, just go to our Facebook page, go to our Instagram page, go to our Twitter page. It's going to be all over the place. And if you win, you get $150 Amazon gift card. You get some merch. I think we got 25 people in so far, so the odds are still awfully good. I'm feeling pretty confident now that I've seen the bracket. But yeah, definitely join in. Free entry, so really no downside.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well. Little column A, little column B. Follow us on wherever you get your podcast, and you can follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Z Man 24.
all right. Before the tournament starts, I figured we'd do a little check-in on an NBA mock draft. There's a lot of players actually in the tournament, which makes it even more exciting, and that we're going to see potentially more of these guys in actual important games and in matchups there's no other way we would see. So I believe where we left off is we had Darren Peterson at 1. Did we both have Darren Peterson at 1?
Yes. Yep.
That has not changed for me. Has it changed for you?
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna go advance that one.
Wow, really? You moved him up. I moved him back.
Oh, so you're really out on BYU and Debanza.
I moved him to 4. I think Yaxel should be 3, and I think Cam should be 2.
Yaxel.
What is he bad at?
It's not that he's bad. He's old.
That's all right. I already think Devance is a number 2. I don't think you would build a team around him, and that's fine. But I think Yaxel is also just going to fit in and be an immediately impacting player. I think he's a mix of this sort of PJ Washington. He's a versatile player that I think has a good skill set that you could just fit in under that rookie contract budget and be effective immediately. Like if he goes to the wrong team though, that's on just a super rebuild. I don't think he'll fit in there. You can't be a good role player on a bad team. But I think on the right team, I'd rather have Yaxel, and AJ's a little bit more of a project, and maybe that's the early draft you want. But talent wise, and what I think it's going to be better in the first couple of years, and maybe even in the long run, I'd rather have Yaxel. And I still don't want.
I hear you from we're playing a game, tomorrow, and who are like, if you're picking teams here, maybe Axel being in that mix, but this is for your NBA career. He's 4 years older than all these other guys we're going to talk about. So I'm not saying like that he can't be more successful or anything like like that, but I just think for the NBA, you're not looking just for 1 year. Like we could get a whole bunch of guys that are going to be younger than him that are going to, just be hitting, their second contract when they're the same age that Yaxel is now.
Though any GM will be fired if they listen to me, but that's just what I would do.
I I would say he is more of a like deeper into the first round. You're taking a flyer. You're a team that like can't wait around for a project. Like you need someone that's a little more seasoned, ready to go, mature, all of that. Although I'd argue I've seen some of his interviews, and I don't know if he's necessarily the most mature person, but that's a very small sample size, and it could be some Duke bias right there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Any other?
Did you watch this got pushed my way, but like he made just like some. I thought they were bad comments after losing to Duke, where they asked him about Cam Boozer, and he kind of like laughed it off. Where it's like you just lost, so I don't know what the laughing's about, but I don't know. Maybe just like a nervous laugh. Like I said, it was small sample size. I'm not gonna judge the whole character of a guy on 1 or 2 interviews.
Well, I didn't realize he was supposed to be honored to be playing Cam Boozer, the son of Carlos Boozer. He didn't play Carlos.
Sure. I just think if you get asked a question about a player that's going to be the national player of the year, you can go 2 directions. You can laugh it off, and you can go no, like he got me today, but like I can get him 9 the next 9 times or something. Or you just you do the adult thing. You do what you're gonna have to do in the NBA of just go, no, Cam's a great player out there. All the coach speak stuff. It's easy.
All right, you want more coach speak? It's just all right. I want more floor slapping. I like that. You get all the guys on the floor and the coach. All you losers slapping the floor. Everybody play defense. Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I think he was laughing about. That makes way more sense.
These were very far apart, and I mean, if you got the number one defense in the country,
No,
it makes people mad. I don't know why it makes some people so mad, but it really makes them mad. So I don't know.
Duke's good. It's more of everyone that does it. It's Duke's supposed to do it, but we're making fun of everyone else that does it.
Do what you feel.
Mock draft. Any other updates? You only do 3 or do you do 5?
I I can easily see Acuff making it up into the five. I don't know if I quite have him in at five. I didn't do like an official list here, but I think I think he might be able to make it in. I think it's just so tough. There's so many point guards just in here, but it's just it wasn't like he was in some mid-major tournament. Like this was in the SEC tournament. These are the teams you're playing against all year. Like the coaches have all the scouting report, and he was still able to do it. I think the only thing that really might not push him all the way is I got some questions about his about his defense. But sometimes in the NBA, if you can score, we'll figure out the defense around you, and don't worry about it. Sometimes to more or less success. Kind of looking at Trae Young there.
The problem is there's too many of those guys, like you mentioned, and they're not all going to get
Yeah,
they're not all going to get run. Some of these guys might get drafted to good teams, which will be like a better environment for them, but then they're not going to play. Like that's not going to be like which would you rather? It's almost in some of these situations where I want to see Acuff get some run. I don't want him just go see ride the bench on a contending team. Because once you start falling farther back, you're not falling to a lottery team necessarily. Chances are you're going to fall to OKC, which is what just always happens now. That would be interesting. That seems to start adding up a little bit more. All these guard plays over here, just a bunch of scoring people. OKC can cover up any defense. All right, that's it for.
OKC does have 15 and 16 right now, so I think Philly is going to make some aggressive tanking moves in the not too distant future to try to hold on to their pick.
All right, honorable mention: Dash Daniels, second round, out of Melbourne. Yes, he's the brother. Dash Daniels. He's already got a name. How great of a name is that? I want to
That's
set
sweet.
it.
That's a sweet name.
Want it said somewhere, as I think he's going to be a good player. This is one guy that I think he was originally in the first round, and there's been a bunch of hype around everybody in the college basketball year, and rightfully so. There's a lot of talent. I don't know if this is the best draft, but there's definitely like a really good baseline of options. And this guy kind of fell out of it. But I mean, this seems like a Nemhart situation where we really like the way the older Nemhart plays. Why would we want a younger version of that as well? I think this is similar to with Dash Daniels, where we already have Dyson Daniels. I think you'd want another player like that in the league, but he's not quite as good of a shooter as all of the guys we just mentioned, where there's too many of these good shooting scoring guards, and this guy's a little bit more of a defensive-minded player, and I don't know where that fits in draft-wise. It's like, he still can't shoot. Are we investing in all that, or we want the guy that we can maybe teach defense?
Like you said, though, second round, that's a whole different thing that you're looking for. The expectations are much lower.
All right, speaking of NBA, we had some records broken this week. Was there one that you were more impressed with?
Well, were you watching when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit 128 straight regular season games of 20 plus points? Were you there that day?
I'm
Can you tell me exactly where you were? What was the shirt you were wearing?
I wish I could care about this. It should be impressive. It should be a record that I understand the larger scale of things is really hard to match and might not ever be matched again, but I'm just not that. I just don't care. It wasn't must-see TV. It's not a trophy or a record that I'm bragging about.
This is what MVPs are for. When you're really good like this, the 20 points, I mean, we as just humans, we like, even numbers. We like fives and 20s. It's like, okay, well, what's the record for 19 points? What's the record for 21 points? Like, I don't know. This seems pretty obscure. I'm totally fine with the OKC fans getting excited about it when it happened in that game. But I think if you're doing any sort of shenanigans to make sure that he stays at the 20 points, especially where he's missed it in the playoffs, so this is only regular season, it just it's basketball. You're supposed to put the ball in the hoop, but exactly 20, like that's the cutoff. Like I said, this is what MVP is for. If you're doing this sort of thing, those are the awards. This just seems very, very niche.
It's impressive in the consistency of it, and that's really what the record is, because I don't think it's that hard to score 20 in the game. I don't think it's that hard to average 20 in the game. I think it's really hard to score 83 points in one game, though. I think that's hard.
It is crazy hard. It's only been done one time before this.
The way you would think it would be done is not how Bam Adebayo did it. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm underestimating this. Maybe you need to shoot 40 free throws to have any chance at this. I guess just in my mind, it was like, all right, so the guy hit at least 10 threes, right? Like we're starting there at least, right? I think what he hit 7? It wasn't. He didn't even hit double digits. Like to me, this doesn't even seem like that hot of a night. Like Curry's gone for more threes and all this, and somehow at the end of it all, it's a sloppy, just disaster of a mess of a basketball game. But we always say like we want him to go for it, right? And then when he went for it, I feel like there's a bunch of backlash now. We want guys to go for these records, right?
I want them to go for it. I was surprised at how excited I got. It was a middle of the week game. It was Miami versus the Wizards. You know, the Celtics were in a primetime, matchup. And I saw the alert that he had, I think, 30 something points in the first quarter. It's like, oh, wow, that's a lot. But it's like, it's Bam. Like, Bam's not really like known for like these huge scoring nights. So just kind of like, all right. But then it got more in. And then midway through the fourth, when there was still a good amount of time left and he had 70, I was like, I gotta turn this on. I gotta watch this. And up to that point, I think it was more of a normal basketball game, but it definitely devolved into just something like I had never seen before. And I don't know why it didn't upset me at all. It was at the end of a basketball game, you normally do weird fouling stuff. If you're down that you wouldn't see in a normal middle of the game. Where this seemed to me of, well, you don't normally see this, but you also don't normally have a guy with 70 something points. So it's like, yeah, let's go for it. And then, he gets the 81. There's challenges both ways to try to make it happen and try to not make it happen. I it was a spectacle, but I enjoyed it. I was glad that he passed Kobe. That I thought that was fun. And then afterwards, yeah, I was a little surprised at how much it evolved into ethical scoring versus not ethical scoring. It's like, what are we talking about? The idea is you put the ball in the hoop as many times as you can, and yes, took a crazy number of free throws. I saw something that there are multiple. I was in more than multiple. It might have been like six NBA teams that haven't taken that many free throws in a game that he took in one game. But I would like to put this up. Go watch the game. Go watch the game and tell me if those are fouls or not. I would. I don't want to just like jump into like hot take territory here, but if he's getting fouled that many times, it means that they literally cannot stop him. There are rules in basketball, and they could not go without breaking the rules, and so that's going to happen. He's going to shoot the free throws, and if you can't stop a guy, you're going to foul him. He's going to keep going to the line. And he was just an all-time dominant performance. Just crazy that it was Bam. I think even that day we could have had 50 guesses apiece, and I don't know if Bam would have been on the list.
I think the number's higher. I think 100. I just wouldn't have thought he would want to go for it, let alone be capable of it. Like it takes a will of a. You got to be an arrogant ass to not want to pass the ball to score. You did score 83 points by being
Oh, and yeah, all of this is that you don't set the records by doing the normal thing. You have to take a ton of shots. There has to be a crazy number of free throws. There has to be some shenanigans down towards the end. That's how you get to the record and not the pretty close to record or a pretty good game.
I think everyone envisioned it just being different, and it's like, no, this is what this looks like. And then they also thought the face of this would be different, and it's like, well, maybe that's not what it's supposed to look like. I mean, there's a reason this record hasn't been broken in forever. I mean, we make it sound like Kobe's a recent record just because Wilt's whatever years old at this point, but that's not that recent either. That was 81 was a long time ago. That was Jalen Rose. Like that's playing basketball, like not broadcasting and not on the other network that bought the network. Like it's
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, what wasn't a couple of years ago.
so this is crazy. This should be exciting. I was disappointed in the backlash when we have such a boring season. and we have a game where we're having a hard time getting guys to play and games be watchable. And I wouldn't say this was it was watchable, but it's for a completely different reason. I'm not saying I want to have this like once a week, but in a league where we're disappointed with watchability, this was certainly an entertaining game that you want to have
I
more of.
was I was crazy entertained, and I know that the internet can just be a rotten place if you go to the wrong areas. But I was just surprised by the certain level of people in just whether it was complaining about, oh well, he took 40 free throws, or oh well, it was against the Washington Wizards. It's like, yes, this is the record though. This is the most points that have ever been scored. You don't think that there's asterisks on everything else? And if we're gonna play that game, then what are we even doing? If just every time someone's gonna do something amazing and record setting, and just look at it and go, oh well, you know, he's playing on Earth. He's not doing it on Mars. It's like, why are we downplaying this? Why? Why?
Also, you don't have to watch it. It could just be on the bottom line. Like, you didn't have to watch the game. You don't like watching the game, change the channel, put something else on. The ending was weird.
I
I was watching it of how weird it was. I was like, I don't know what this is. Who's right in this? Because I was embarrassed that Washington fouled somebody other than Bam to just let anyone else score in a game in which they're down like 36. It's like, you don't get to foul down 36. You don't get any control over this anymore. You have to play defense and stop the guy, which is generally easy. It's not like there's guys scoring 83 every night. You should be able to put together some stops without fouling another player. Like that. That's how bad it got to the end of the game where they fouled somebody else. And I booed. I booed at my house. I was like, that's bull. I'm not saying I was rooting for Bam to get the record, but if that was the reason he wasn't going to get it, it's because Washington fouled another player down that many points. It's like that's just such a weird ending. But I'm watching, and that's more emotion than I would have shown in any other Miami Washington game. So
and it's some of it I like. We haven't talked about it nearly as much just because it's just been talked to death, and it's whatever. But like the whole tanking thing of, hey, you know what happens if you tank? This might happen to your franchise. Forget about, oh, you got fined, you got this. Now when the Wizards owner goes to parties, it's like, hey, didn't a guy just set the record for points against you? It's like, if you want to be bad, sometimes you're going to get embarrassed bad, and maybe this will just encourage teams to say, you know what? Like, I get, we want a good pick, or we're not a very good team. We need a better player, but we're not going to go all the way into tank mode. Like, we're going to give it an honest effort.
we sabotaged the reaction of all this. This should have felt like a reward, and then the league should have almost like rewarded Bam more so that we could have more guys going for these sort of things against these tanking teams to actually tempt them to not tank. Like, this is embarrassing. These highlights are not going to go away. I joked that Jalen Rose was ecstatic that this was broken, right? Like, if you're Toronto, this is the best thing that could have happened for you this year. This is almost as good as a championship. These highlights are just going to be, I mean, they're not going to disappear. It's not like these Kobe highlights are going to not be shown anymore, but he's not the record anymore. It's Bam now.
Not the record. But I'll call it the modern record, because obviously Wilt's got the record of 100. But just it's a little different. It's a different.
I don't want to
totally
see
different era.
I don't want to see someone score 100 points. I don't. I think 80 is just as ugly enough as I can handle. It's just crazy of what it takes. It's never clean. I think in your mind you'd be like, oh, he was just on fire and he hit everything, and it just gets so sloppy.
You better believe if some guys got 75 through the third, I'm turning that game on.
Yeah, that's how bad this other team has to be. Like the disparity for Wilt to score 100 is how bad the talent level was. We shouldn't have that in a modern NBA. There shouldn't be a guy 83 points better than another team. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, should be able to stop him.
I'm way too fired up about this because I unfortunately have this next topic that you didn't even write down. But the Jaylen Brown ejection in a league where we have stars not playing and injuries for whatever reasons and weird scheduling, and not every game is really good. For Jaylen to get tossed out of the San Antonio game between arguably the top two teams in the league, or two of the best contenders in the league, over some really silly fouling stuff. And I'm not saying he reacted properly, but he certainly didn't react enough to get ejected. And in this sort of game, I mean, it's just so many other players have such a longer leash than this. It doesn't make sense to me, and it seems like such a bias. Like, Draymond gets to do whatever he wants, Trae Young gets to do whatever he wants, Luka gets to do whatever he wants, and Jaylen Brown, who is the current reigning champion of last year, the current reigning Finals MVP, gets nothing.
Well, not
No, he's not current.
Not current, but
Reigning.
recent enough.
Recent enough. Not like years ago. Like we're within range.
Within range, yes. I agree with it. Within range.
I don't know why we're doing this. This seems like a very correctable thing, and if the league has any problems at all, tanking for sure, this sure seems like a bigger one with me. Like we can't do this sort of stuff. We have too many games to blow the few good ones we have. Like that's either do less games so we get more games like this, or fix these games so they're always like this, like just better. We need these matchups. We need these guys to play. I don't know what more we could say. Like it doesn't make sense to me to toss him out of that game. It doesn't add up with any of Jalen's character either.
I totally got why Jalen was upset. I was this is before the Bam game was must turn on. So that was the main game that I was watching, and it was going back and forth. And I think we really forced Wemby to have just an amazing game to have a chance to beat us. Even once Jalen got kicked out, which again was just disappointing. I mean, Castle was just all over him, just being a pest. And I don't think Jalen was getting the calls that he would have liked. And then at a certain point, you just reach a boiling point. And I don't think Draymond Green even gets a technical foul in that situation. I think the ref just takes it, and then this was a bizarre kind of situation where he gets the first one, and usually once you get the first one, you get to kind of let it out, and then it has to be another incident, or if you are really belligerent about it, and it's almost like you as the player are just I am done with this, just kick me out. You're looking to get kicked out, and I don't think Jalen was looking to get kicked out, so it was disappointing. Both as a as a Celtics fan, as a guy that wanted to see the top level of the two seeds in the league go head to head, and then it just first half is oh well. I mean now Mad's got to get creative, and now we're relying on Hugo and the young go-hards on the team, but it's not the same as having Jalen in there who was just hitting a lot of tough shots. Like I said, Castle was all over him.
Oh, come on, just say it. We just spent weeks, months without Tatum. We just got him back, and then Brown's gone, and it wasn't fun. We gotta be able to be better than that. That really sucked.
Well, that was the thing, is that it was a different referee that ejected him, that gave him the second one. I feel like you don't ever see that.
We won't see it again. It won't happen again. I don't think Jalen's got better calls coming his way, but I don't think he's getting tossed out of another game anytime soon. All right, let's play the outro music.
Well, I sure hope not.
Play the outro music and get out of here. Remind everyone to subscribe, little column A, little column B. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and follow Zach on his X account, which is
We Can See Man 24.
All right, make sure you sign up. Join the March Madness Bracket Challenge. It's free to enter. Giving out a $150 Amazon gift card to the winner, plus a podcast t-shirt. Games officially start, let's just say Thursday at noon. So I would lock things in maybe that night before. But get them filled out. Nothing worse than entering and not actually having fully filled out.
Oh yeah, don't make that mistake.
I almost didn't put the final score in. Make sure you do that too. I was like, what have I not filled out? I picked all my teams. It's like, no, we need the tiebreaker score. Don't forget that.
That way you can win the big trip.
Yeah, I don't know what else I agreed to and all of that, but yes, I guess you have potential. Have my data, and maybe I'll win a trip. You know anyone who's ever won these trips?
No.
I assume somebody does, but maybe not. Nobody in our range. Nobody in our world.
There has to be somebody.
Well, you're going to some later games, right? You're just doing the Final Four this year?
Just doing the Final Four. There's nothing. I think the closest would be either Buffalo or Philly, which neither of those are very really that close. So yes, Final Four only this year.
Well, we made it. It's March. Tournament starts this week. Command Center is up and running. I'm ready for the full quad screen setup. All day, all night, couple days in a row. This is what the Command Center was made for.
It's exactly what it's made for. I'm excited to come up for Friday to watch that. To as the games get later into the night, putting on some regular TV on the side just to kind of even things out. Sometimes unfortunately there's some blowouts and as the games wind down. But yeah, very excited for March. Best time of the year. Ready to go.
I don't think there's going to be any blowouts. Every game is going to be close. We're going to be at the edge of our seat all day.
We're going to hit every single square.
We are going to hit every single square. This is the year. We're so due. We'll be back.
Little column A, little column B.